Good morning. I'm Lynette Adams, and this is Rochester in Focus. This morning, we're tackling a couple of heavy topics, starting with a discussion on concerns within the LGBTQ plus community in light of some changes and anti-trans rhetoric coming out of Washington and from President Donald Trump. We talk with a Haitian-American trans woman who's a writer and performer and a Rochester drag performer. The City of Rochester's Upstate MWBE conference is coming up. We talk with the city's purchasing director and temporary purchasing agent about this incredible opportunity that could put your small business on the map. March is Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month. The medical director of gastroenterology for Highland Hospital joins us with some important steps you can take to protect your health and dramatically lessen your chances of a diagnosis of this form of cancer. And finally, an interview from our archives. It's a reminder of a 3-digit phone number that could save lives, and it's not 911. There have been monumental changes since Donald Trump became president. And most Americans are watching, but probably none as closely as members of the LGBTQ plus community. Joining me to talk about that are Marie Adelina de la Ferrier, who is a columnist for The Advocate and Out magazine, as well as Ed Popel, who's a performer, a Rochester drag queen. Just personally, are there concerns in your own mind with the new leadership in Washington?
So many concerns. When Elon and Donald were elected, I truly feel as though there was a degree of fear and sort of disillusionment that I had that the country in general was making progress forward. And my initial thought was I was upset for my daughters, for my sisters, for the community, the LGBTQ plus community, for people of color, and suddenly I kind of went into a little bit of a mourning process, a shell. And now going forward, I'm excited to show up, to be here, to have the opportunity to create community, because people will not be erased.
Let me ask your reaction. Did you have similar feelings, any fears?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I am a Black trans woman, and what has been going on, the politicalization of our bodies is beyond atrocious, and doing it just to gain political power is alarming. And we've seen this before throughout history, where trans people are the ones first targeted, and then additional marginalized voices are next.
One of the things we talked about was a change in gender affirming care. You know, on the surface, people may think, well, this means you won't be able to have the surgery or whatever. But you were pointing out that it's so much more than that.
Yes, so much more. I mean, I think people, again, when they think of gender affirming care, they first think it's surgery. That's not the case, and that's not always the case. Gender affirming care also includes medication. It also includes social transitioning, which is just as hard and difficult. Talking to therapists, the mental health of it all. Gender affirming care and transitioning is a multi-step process, and it doesn't just start on day one with surgery. That's very, very, very many years later.
And who, however you identify, is not having gender affirming care. What do I mean by that? Obviously, there are people who decide to wear makeup. There are people who are getting their lips enhanced, they're getting their chest enhanced, there are men who are getting testosterone. These are all forms of gender affirming care. But it seems as though if it happens to be of what is considered the opposite gender, then it's a problem. And honestly, in my experience, in my life, I have learned that gender is a spectrum. I joke on stage, when I was a little boy, girl, gal, girl, boy, fella, I was encouraged to speak in the lowest voice. I was encouraged to stand and act like a man. And I know that it was because of the fear that my parents saw that I had feminine qualities. And I was made to dress a certain way, act a certain way, speak a certain way. And no matter how hard they tried, I ended up being the homosexual that I am today. And I even married the first woman who would say yes. All of these things to appease other people. And I believe that people on this earth have just the basic right to be themselves. And all we ask is that people treat each other with respect.
There are so many effects. I mean, we could probably be here for hours talking about the effects, but we talked earlier about the arts and the impact this will have on the arts. For example, the Kennedy Center, you've performed there, correct?
I will tell you that the arts, first and foremost, will survive. The fact that you want to say that drag queens cannot perform at the Kennedy Center, drag queens will perform in front of the Kennedy Center in protest. Drag inherently is a bit of a protest to say, don't tell me I can't be feminine. Don't tell me I can't be all the genders that I need to express. And the arts will find their way. And I think that this desire to make America basically great again is this desire to make America hide again.
When you may have felt safe in this country to be who you are, do you now hear and watch these things happening, gains being dismantled? I mean, even titles coming off of, monuments and whatnot. Does it make you think, I better be careful now?
Actually, I think it's quite the opposite. I think it's more important now more than ever to live boldly, live authentically. I think when you live your most authentic self in the face of defiance, in the face of adversity, it makes you so much stronger. And it's something I learned from my late grandfather, that fear can limit our capacity to learn, limit our capacity to love. Fear is the greatest enemy of freedom, and never refuse to give in to fear.
Wow, that's powerful. But I can imagine, though, that there is fear in your community. We've seen so many things happen recently. Trans people, gay people being targeted.
I will say that as someone who travels and may be appearing in Middle America at a college dressed in drag to perform a positivity talk for college students, where I used to drive in the car, half in drag, ready to go, I might want to get ready when I'm at the school, that type of thing. Certainly it's being smart about things. I really believe that in some ways that we were further along, and but at the same time too, I'm so inspired by this specific thing. Seeing our allies step up to support one another. As simple as a cisgendered male, a dad painting his nails because their child wants to paint their nails, and being strong enough in their masculinity and who they are to say, yeah, I paint my nails, or to speak up in defense of Congressperson McBride, that we had an ally step up and say, no, she is being misgendered. And that is inspiring. That is actually exciting. And that makes me want to be more boldly exactly who I am.
It makes sense that we should all have the freedom to be who we are.
Especially the freedom to be who we are in a country founded on the values of life, liberty, and the pursuit of one's happiness.
We'll be right back. The city of Rochester is hosting a Rochester Upstate MWBE conference. It is a premier small business conference, and it's coming to this area at the end of the month. And joining me to talk about how powerful this event will be in a couple of weeks are Timothy Howard, who is the Director of Purchasing for the City of Rochester, as well as Constance Mitchell-Jefferson, who is the temporary or outgoing purchasing agent for the City of Rochester and chair of this year's conference. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Talk about this conference. We hear the title, but there's a lot that's going to happen over 3 days in Rochester, right?
Definitely, and this is the third year that we've been doing this conference, Lynette. And so each year we try to make the next year better than the year before. And we promote this as a premier business conference for small businesses. Our emphasis is not on the MWBE side. That's a conduit under which we can bring together small businesses throughout the 4 regions of upstate New York, Central New York, Western New York, Southern Tier, and the Finger Lakes region into one community here in Rochester for a 3-day conference around small business development.
Timothy, talk a little bit about what people should expect.
This conference, the theme is building capacity through innovation and equity. And so with those themes will carry out throughout the conference. On the first day, looking at capacity, how you should be thinking to enhance your thought process and to have tools by which you can help navigate the procurement process and to learn about yourself. Innovation, there are a lot of opportunities in terms of technology and tools that are available to help you market your business, to brand not only yourself but your business, and to leverage that in order to promote your business. And then equity, should be a return on your investment in coming to this conference. That you ought to leave with this conference, having come, networked with others, and leave with some lasting relationships and connections and networks that you can leverage in order to do business and grow your business.
Now, you talked about networking. Who's going to be there?
The conference is promoted in the 4 geographical regions of upstate New York, Central New York, Western New York, the Finger Lakes region, as well as the Southern Tier. So we have small businesses that are coming in from around the 4 regions, and they're coming to Rochester for this 3-day conference. We also invite to this conference people from within the corporate arena, the banking arena, the real estate arena, the construction arena, to come to the conference and serve as facilitators for our training workshops. We also have people that are coming in from New York State government agencies that are here to talk to those folks about, here's small business opportunities for you. This is how you contract not only with your local, county, and city government, but also the state of New York.
And so the expectation is that those that are attending, again, will network and could leave with, in hand, possibly with a business opportunity.
So it is March the 31st through April the 2nd. Where and how do people sign up?
It's at the Convention Center, the Rochester Convention Center. People can sign up through Eventbrite, or they can go on the cityofrochester.gov/MWBE and click on our MWBE webpage, and there's a link to Eventbrite on there. Folks can send us an email to MWBE@cityofrochester.gov, and they can say, I'm interested, I want to register, and we look at that email every day, we respond to it.
You have to do that by March the 23rd.
Yes.
So if you want to
Yes.
go, do it by March the 23rd, and we'll be right back. March is Colon Cancer Awareness Month, and for good reason. 150,000 people across this country will be diagnosed with colon cancer this year. And joining me to talk about the incidence of colon cancer and how you can prevent it is Dr. Lawrence Sauberman. He is the head of gastroenterology here at Highland Hospital, as well as he oversees the Highland Procedure Center.
Thank you for bringing awareness to this really important issue. We're going to see probably about 50,000 deaths related to colorectal cancer this year in that 150,000 that are going to be diagnosed. So we really need to do our best to try to prevent this disease as much as possible. And that's one of the nice things about colon cancer, is that it is preventable if we catch it early enough, and very treatable if we catch it early.
Well, let's talk about ways that we can prevent this cancer.
There are some things you can't control, like your genetics, and that's kind of set in place. But there are other things that you can do to help prevent colon cancer. And the ways to do that would be to eat a very healthy diet, so diets that are rich in fibers, vegetables, fruits, grains. And those that have less red meats in them will help prevent colon cancer as well.
So let's talk about what we should be doing annually in terms of when I go to the doctor. Do I need a colonoscopy? Do I need one every year? Do I need other tests every year? How can I safeguard my colon?
The recommendations have changed in the last few years. We've moved it back from 50 years old to 45-year-olds. So you should start screening for colon cancer at age 45 now. And that's because we've seen a rise in the number of colon cancers in this younger age group. So while overall colon cancer rates have been declining over the years, thanks to screening and doing procedures, et cetera, we are still seeing a little rise in this younger age group. So we've moved the age back to 45, and people have different methods for preventing or screening for colon cancer. The way to screen for it would be either a colonoscopy every 10 years, that's one method, and that looks at the whole large intestine or the colon and allows us to take out any polyps that might be considered precancerous for that individual. Another method would be to do a virtual colonoscopy, which is just a CAT scan, and that's done every 5 years instead of the every 10-year approach. But again, you can't remove anything that's found at that time, and you still have to undergo the preparation you would need to do for a colonoscopy as well. Another test to do would be a stool-based DNA test, and that's done every 3 years. And those are the kits that come in the boxes, and you mail them back into the lab, and they'll look for DNA or RNA changes in the stool that might indicate that there's a lesion or something in the colon. It also looks for blood in the stool as well. So with that test, it's again every 3 years, and you just follow that pathway and keep looking for that. If something is found, then you need a colonoscopy.
Great advice. Great advice. No excuses, right?
No excuses.
And we'll be right back. I'm talking with Deborah Turner, who is the Director of Crisis and Referral Services for the 211 Lifeline program, and we're talking about suicide and one number that can make the difference for so many people, and that is 988. Talk about how this is changing to meet the needs that you're seeing in the community.
Absolutely. So I think what's great about so much of what's evolving with 988 is it's really about meeting the person where they're at. One of the biggest changes that it's been rolling out is the adjustment from being routed by area code to now geolocation. So that means that when someone is physically in our territory, they will route to our contact center. And then we can actually help direct them, refer them to a local resource to get the right support. Something that we think about within the Finger Lakes region is we have a lot of colleges. And so we have people coming from out of state, and so we want to make sure that we are ready to support anyone who contacts our center. In addition, to just I've noticed the changes and evolution with 988 is there's funding behind it. The funding has really been key in supporting when we bring on more people. We're paying them a wage that's competitive because this work is very hard. In addition, we've been able to just implement more clinical support and supporting our team and our staff. I think Goodwill has been really phenomenal in supporting this program and just getting our team what they need, because the types of contacts they take that can result in vicarious trauma.
An article that I read said only 1 in 5 Americans even know about 988. That most people don't know that this call is so quick and easy. Why is that in your mind?
I think if people haven't gone through a crisis, they haven't had the need to call or to call for someone else. I think there hasn't been a ton of awareness yet built about it. I know that on the state level, there's large campaigns rolling out to educate the public about 988 and what it is and what it does. And so I think giving it time and letting those campaigns run and making sure those campaigns are something people connect to is going to be really important.
988 For people who don't know what this number is, they don't know how to use this number, it's probably a better way to put that. Describe 988 and what it's meant for.
Yeah, so 988 is the 3-digit dialing access number to the 1-800-273-TALK, which is the 800 number for the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. And over time, the reason that they broke it down to 3 numbers is because who remembers an 800 number? So 988 is easy to remember. They've also rebranded it to really encompass that you don't have to have thoughts of suicide to call us. That you can call us if you're having a crisis, a behavioral health crisis. That could be, you're struggling with your depression, your anxiety, substance use, sexual identity. You're struggling. You're really struggling, and you're thrown off in how you cope from the day to day. And that looks like a large variety of things. And what they have found with the rebrand is that it's encouraging people to call us before they get thoughts of suicide, because that is suicide prevention.
All right. Deborah, thank you so much. Great advice, great information. Just remember, 988 is the number if you're in trouble, and help is just a dial away. We'll be right back. A big thank you to all of our guests today. If you would like to join us as a guest on Rochester in Focus, we'd love to hear from you. You can contact News 10 NBC at 232-1010 or send us an email at rif@whec.com. Well, that's all the time we have today. Thank you for joining us. Until next Sunday morning, have a great week.